All good, man. All good. Yeah.
What's up, everyone? This is Tin Man with the Worldwide Resistance Network. Joining me today is Connor and Reverend Ordo for another roundtable brought to you by Meth Monster Blue, the fictitious product that doesn't actually exist because we are not sponsored by anybody. Because Israel doesn't love us enough to pay us $7,000 per post.
I don't know. I feel sponsored by my Dollarama coffee right now.
There you go, man. We are not sponsored by anybody.
Nah.
It's pretty much an independent operation. In fact, I'm the one that put the damn bill on the stuff for StreamYard, the verification on X, the whole 9 yards. Help me make my money back, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to us on YouTube, X, Rumble, and check out our online store where we've got a whole mess of new merch. We've got the Charlie Kirk merch, we've got the TWWRN logos, and we just launched the No Strings product line. You heard about No Kings? Fuck No Kings. It's all about no strings, no puppet politicians.
Yes, sir. Ooh, I got something for you. It's like completely like 17,000 miles out of left field, but this one came to me in stoner stupor. Oh, it's great. It's harmless. People are going to start using it. You watch. So when we had Twitter, we made tweets, right?
Yeah.
We have X. Everybody's been trying to figure out what you would call an X post, right? Like Twitter make tweets. What does X make? I figured it out. And it's actually like kind of cool. So it might catch on.
What do you got?
When you post to X, you're posting an expletive. You're not exploitation, not explicit as in rated R, but an expletive. You're just you're just sharing your opinion of what you think at that point. I don't know if it was intended to go like that, but it fits. So
honestly, man,
expletive today.
Honestly, that is fucking brilliant, man.
No strings on the expletive. Oh my God, that means Zion is signing up on Twitter. Whoops.
Uh-oh. Did you say it? Did we say you said the secret word? Did he say the secret word? I don't actually said the secret word, so we gotta do it. Secret words!
I like that. That's like the slime from You Can't Do That on Television.
Yeah, actually, you know what inspired that was actually Pee-wee's Playhouse. You know, when they have the word of the day. I was thinking about that. I'm like, we should do something like that. So anytime somebody, anytime the topic comes up, or Zionism, Judaism, any of that, anything related to the Zionist cabal, is classified in the secret words. So we'll do like the whole secret words of the day thing.
I really like that. It's original. It's different. It's really like it's got the pulse, man. It's on the sociological pulse. It's what's going through everybody's brain. So I really like that addition. it covers like 25 minutes of rants just in photo symbolism. Like, if you don't understand what you're seeing, look it up because we're done talking about it, kind of thing. I really like that touch.
Thank you. Anyway, moving forward, our topic today is the United States going to war with Venezuela. Trump pretty much saying he's done with Canada. I mean, most of us would understand how this might affect the United States, but how is it going to affect the Western world as a whole? Canada, United States, Mexico, all the countries going south of the United States from Mexico on down, and the surrounding areas of Venezuela and all that. How is this going to impact? Because, we know that the CIA was funding the drug cartels for a long time. There was big business deals there. A lot of money was coming in. Trump labeling drug cartels as terrorists faced a lot of criticism by the press, saying that would have a negative impact on the economy because they were a major business model of the United States and, dare I say, the Western Hemisphere as a whole. So these impacts, labeling Venezuela as terror, or not Venezuela, drug cartels as terrorists, bombing drug boats, going to, pretty much declaring open war against Venezuela, cutting off Canada for varying reasons, one of which is because of the fentanyl coming in from Canada as well. That's been a big issue as well. How is this going to impact the world, and namely the Western world?
I'll shoot my craps first, just because I'm Canadian, and I'm noticing a couple of things that are very intriguing, and will kind of tie into Venezuela all in like one foul swoop. So the big thing that's going on with Venezuela is like it's all about like talking about like the cartel and the drugs and the so on and so forth. Okay, and like the Venezuelan government has been retaliating by closing certain seaports off. We covered that briefly, like one of the last roundtables, where I was like, I don't know if anything's going to come of this, or if it's just going to kind of fizzle away. And it doesn't look like it's fizzling away. It looks like it's growing. So in essence, this is a port that was holding something like 120 plus billion or $1 million, whatever. It was a fucking ridiculous amount of money in cargo ships and product and so on and so forth. And then the Venezuelans, they started like shooting like missiles and stuff at like the cargo ships, and the cargo ships, they're not armed, right? Like they don't have missile defense. What they do have is the American.
You're saying Venezuela was targeting their own ships?
No, they're targeting American vessels. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was bad.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. So what's happened here is that
I'm going to have to look into that.
The Venezuelan cartel is getting taken out in boats. Like you've seen Trump get into a little bit of hot water there, taking out some boats, right?
Yeah, all their movers are getting eradicated.
Right. So that, if we were to believe the narrative, which it's one of those few times where it's I don't even think it's a bad idea to believe the narrative, or at least start with the narrative and then like move into different directions from the narrative. Okay. But if I agree with the narrative, and if I just look at it as is, it shows that Donald Trump is saying that Venezuela is like a cartel nation, which means the leader of that nation is the leader of the cartel, the black market, the money, the so on and so forth, which means the Venezuelan economy as a whole. And that's where you get like ports and ships and things like that, like that. The higher echelon stuff comes into play. Well, see, Donald Trump took out a bunch of these little boats, which was probably holding a shit ton of drugs. And like we all know, there's a lot. Godfather said it best. There's a lot of money in that white powder, right? So you take out one of those tiny little cigar ship boat, like you might be taking out millions and millions of dollars worth of drugs, but it fits in a little fucking Corvette style boat. Doesn't take a whole lot, right? So Trump takes that out. There's going to be an equal reaction, like on the other side in a military context. So you see Trump used the American military to take out the cartel's little boats, right? Like we're not making it up. The media's covered it. And the Venezuelans are like, okay, so you're taking out the boats that are helping my economy. So I'm going to start taking out the boats that are helping your economy, which leads us to this story that took place. Started shooting at cargo ships, like fish in a barrel, like just right there. They're shooting at them. The American military responded. Now, when you guys get the figures of the matter, you'll understand what I'm saying. But I'm gonna make it up so that it carries the same point, but you'll notice that the numbers will change. If I'm not mistaken, it was like $120 billion in products in these cargo ships that the Venezuelans were shooting at. And the American Navy leveled that entire military establishment that was in Venezuela with $60 billion worth of munitions. So for half of the valuation of what was, and that's the part that I know is 100% true. Whether the number changes or not, the message is that there was a value on the ocean. It was worth something. They attacked that something, and the United States, with half of what it's worth. So, like, if it's $120 million valuation, the United States used $60 billion or $60 million worth of munitions to retaliate. So they use half of what it was worth. Yeah, it's fucked. And ain't much left of that in Venezuela. And I haven't heard hide nor hair because Trump has started to re-attack the corvettes that are bringing the drugs in, which I'm not against. I'm not against Donald Trump going to war with the drug cartel. I'm not. What I'm against,
especially considering we've seen quite a bit of drug impact in our own lives. You know, people we love having fallen victim to drug use and whatnot. I mean, I've known several people whose lives have been completely destroyed.
Yeah,
by drug use.
Let's bring this street level. If I were to compare it street level, it's as though I see the meth dealer on the corner, you see, and I know if I call the police, he's just going to get released in a couple of days anyway. So instead,
if they even do anything about it,
right? So instead, I go and I cap him. And ain't no meth dealer on the corner of the street no more. The police ain't gonna do nothing to me because they ain't gonna do nothing to him, right? But what will happen to me is that person that got capped for dealing meth on the corner, now that guy's got friends, that guy's got family, that guy's got people that love him or her that are going to come and seek retaliation on me for capping the meth head on the corner. The same.
Right, so you're not talking about legalities, you're talking about personal vendettas.
Yes. So what's happening here is the same principle. Scale it up. Donald Trump capped the meth head on the corner of the block. Cops ain't going to stop him, but the meth head on the corner of the block's got friends. He's got family, people who love them. The kind of people that would shoot missiles at cargo ships to teach the United States a lesson. That would make the United States in turn respond. So what I'm anti is understanding that when we declare war on anything, those motherfuckers are going to shoot back.
Yeah, naturally, it's kind of a byproduct of war.
So that's what this Venezuelan conflict, in a nutshell, without breaking all of breaking it all down, like I said, sticking with the narratives and not straying too far away because you don't want to lose people in the conversation, is that he declared the war on the drugs, and moving in to the Canadian side. Connor, why is all the drugs coming from Canada? Calm down. I'll tell you why they're all coming from Canada. It's because they're not coming from Canada, but they're coming from Canada. It's because we got this amazing thing in Canada. It's called, you do the East and the West. Okay? So this is what I did this when I was young. Okay? I'm going to use weed as an example. Okay? I did this shit. I get somebody that knew a friend of a friend out west in the western provinces, and I said, get me the bombest weeds you can get. All right, well, how are we going to get it here? I don't know, mail it to me. I just want a couple of ounces. I want to see. Okay, no problem. Mails it, smokes it. Good, great stuff. Love the product. Moving forward. I need 10, 15, 25 pounds of that product. Okay, well, what are we going to do? Well, see, what we're going to do is we're going to dress you up in a suit and tie. Okay, we're going to throw some Bibles in the back seat. We're going to have some church hymns going, right? You guys are going on a motherfucking field trip. And now you're going to go all the way to out west. You're going to pick up that product for me. You're going to move that product down into the eastern provinces for me. All of this is happening inside of the great country of Canada. But see, this is the downside, is that when the United States is policing for marijuana, and they know about the BC Big Bud, and they know that's out west, where are you going to put all your policing efforts? On the western border.
At the source.
At the source. Well, what if you have a Canadian like me that's just a little bit smarter and knows that in Maine, there's a library. That bitch straddles the border. I can walk in on the Canadian side with a bag. You can walk in on the American side with a bag. If I leave with your bag and you leave with my bag, and as long as we don't complain, ain't nobody going to stop us from saying that's not the bag you came in here with, especially if they look the same. So I got my my religious looking folk coming from out west all the way down east, and then I give it to my secondary grouping of religious looking folk. And how are they crossing into the border? Well, don't you realize that in Caribou, Maine, when they do a stake conference, the eastern part of Canada, the maritime provinces, were part of the same stake. So when we're going to the United States, bro, we're just church function, you see, state conference. And it's not unheard of, and it's not like it can't be fact checked, especially if you make the transaction during state conference. You'd have to know when state conference is.
And this is why he's no longer a member of the Mormon church. Now we got the truth.
Right? So, and the fun thing is the church never knew I was doing that, because I was
I'm sure a Mormon somewhere is going to see this video and be like,
yep.
Oh, Mr. Connor.
You could stretch it up as well. Here's well now we're doing the pot trade now. Add that to Mark.
So this is where it gets even crazier. Why would it be considered beneficial for me to do that? Because nobody does nothing unless they get paid, right?
Yeah.
So out west in Canada, it's about 16 to 8 back. This is during the Prohibition days, okay? About $1,600 to $1,800 for a pound of grass. Now, if you took that and you cross the border into the United States, you can make $2,500. But now the Americans, they need to safely cross it through each and every state line to get it to the eastern states, because in the eastern states at the time was $3,600 a pound.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how big it is on the western front, but on the East Coast here, Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky, Revin, you can attest to that. You and I both knew somebody who wound up involved in the drug scene out in Georgia, and here in Tennessee.
California weed is bomb ass weed. Where you give a joint to a Jamaican guy. Oh no, man, we don't want to touch that, man. No. I
mean, you can get some bomb ass shit, but what I'm talking about, like here on the eastern states, and Revin, you can attest to us because we both knew somebody who was involved in this shit.
Yeah.
Fentanyl shit. Okay? Fentanyl was really big. It's really big in Georgia. Revin can attest, we knew somebody who was a heroin addict. They were doing heroin with fentanyl. How this person survived, I don't know.
My son's mom, her cousin would mix weed with crank, and they call that KJ. They call it KJ.
I mean, and you know how mixing things can go horribly, horribly wrong. And fentanyl alone, just fentanyl by itself, can kill somebody if mismanaged. But we had a person who was using it with heroin.
It's enough drug to kill at least 1,000 people a day.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what killed Prince, right?
Prince had a heart attack, man. what they said.
He died of a fentanyl overdose, man. The aspirin that he was taking was laced with fentanyl. They proved it.
Because that's all you need in fentanyl to kill a man. 1 grain of salt, and they don't even have to ingest it. They just have to touch it.
If you look at George Floyd, when he died, they did a toxicology report, and he had so much shit in his system, it was enough to kill a fucking bull moose 10 times over, man.
Yeah.
So why is it going through Canada? It's because it comes in on the west coast of the United States, the cartels, because that's the ocean side, right?
Yeah.
And on the west coast, they'll cross the border into Canada so that they can suffice the Canadian clientele, and then that product will work its way through the back channels inside of the country of Canada,
and then trickle down into the United States,
and then re-emerge into the United States according to the drug route, for lack of a better explanation. So, are the drugs coming from Canada? Absolutely, but are they coming from Canada? No, they're coming from another location, and they're using the same underground railroad that we used to free the black people in the United States. That same, just in reverse, and that same.
If you look at Portland, Portland back in the late 1700s, 1800s, that port of Portland was used to Shanghai.
Yeah,
and they used to. Yeah, these are Shanghai people for
some of the fentanyl and whatnot coming from some of these Asian countries, specifically China. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. China, Japan. Let's see here. The Philippines and shit. Taiwan in a way. Shit.
So the vast majority of the Asian countries are contributors as well. It's not just Venezuela.
No, it's a bunch of them. It's just that's the one that's taking the brunt because the cartel happens to be the political power there. Similar to Mexico. See, the only time the United States military can do something is when an entire nation is doing something wrong. Well, then a nation's president can go to war with that nation. But otherwise, petty crime, that's what all the other factions of law enforcement are for. But all the other factions of law enforcement are saying that this problem is much larger than what they can deal with, so they need the military to do it. And then Trump's like, yeah, but I can't use the military to do this unless I'm in an active state of war with these people. So what did Trump have to do? He had to stop a shit ton of wars in one direction, so he'd have the necessary amount of money and resources to start this one.
Yes.
He wasn't the president of peace. He was the president of pinching pennies to make sure I can kill this guy over here. But if I keep doing this over there, I won't have the funds to do what I want over here. So it's very, very 4D chess. And I don't know exactly to what scope it holds on the large. See, when we talk about things like Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, we can have a general idea as to what it's going to do to the global scope of things.
Because we've been there, done that so many times.
But this one is new. And I don't know in what direction. Raw deal, is this war a distraction? Is this war something that's being made so that we look at it so they can go do a little bit deeper, darker shit in other directions so we're not paying attention over there?
Well, we've got the government shut down here in the United States. SNAP benefits, welfare programs fixing to go out on the 1st. I covered this in the roundtable, which will be airing later today. Yesterday and Sunday, there were articles stating that SNAP benefits would not be shut off, but yet all mainstream outlets seem to be clinging to the idea that the government will still be cutting off SNAP benefits come November 1st, and which will result in rioting and looting because people aren't getting their food stamps. So you have that front, you got the war with Russia, and you got the conflict in the Middle East, as always. So it's just, I would say it's not more or less a distraction. It's just another thing on an already full plate that we're just getting bombarded with.
And I would agree. I would agree with that. 100%.
I think it's more on removing Maduro as a regime change.
Yeah.
If you look at it, at Maduro, how long was he in office, in power?
I don't know the specifics, but a good question that I would like to take this in a particular direction, since you brought it up. Would this be legitimate regime change? Like, hey, we got a legitimate dictator, a legitimate problem in Venezuela.
A
We need a
socialist dictator.
regime change, or is this going to be another CIA regime change with them putting in another one of their ops? Like Saddam Hussein.
Well, before Maduro, you had Hugo Chavez, who we all know Obama hated. He hated Chavez.
Yeah.
Because Hugo Chavez kicked out every single U.S. corporation.
It's because capitalists can't compete with socialists, and the capitalists know it. And it's not because like it can't. Fuck, that's such an ignorant thing to say, but how can you make a country who gives free education and free healthcare look bad to a country who has to pay for healthcare and who has to pay for education? Right? It's hard to say we're better than them.
Okay, here's a question for you, Connor. Since you wanted to allude to that, I'm actually glad you brought this up because this is a conversation I've been having with some people on X. And the argument is, free stuff that's essentially just paid for by taxes. Canada has a fairly efficient system of healthcare paid by taxes, other programs paid for by taxes. We have that to some degree, welfare programs and whatnot paid for by taxes. Would you say that Canada is a socialist construct? And if not, what is the difference between the socialist model and what Canada is doing?
So what separates you from us is
what separates socialism from the Canadian taxpayer-funded system?
So check this out. You guys are a democratic republic, right?
Constitutional republic.
Okay. We are socialist. We are democratic socialists. Meaning,
okay, so you would technically fall into the socialist category then. Okay.
Yes, it means that I believe that if you break your arm, you have the right to a doctor, an X-ray, and a cast, even if your ass can't afford it. And I will tell my government to take 15% of my money to make sure that that's taken care of. And then they say, okay, well, of the 15% of the money you're giving us, I'm going to send 2% of that to the healthcare. And I'm like, yo, make that 2.5 and then use the rest to wherever you want. Right, so we give our taxes to the government, and the government is supposed to use that money for infrastructure and so on and so on. 0% of our tax dollars goes towards war reparations. This is where my argument is. It's not that the Americans don't have a tax system. It's not even that they're not taxed, quote unquote, enough. It's you just got
the money's being used for other things that it's not supposed to be used for.
Everything that your guys' tax dollars is collected for goes to the Federal Reserve to pay down the war debt from World War II. And God knows how much money the Americans owe to the same people in regards to the war on terror. Something no one talks about, that they collect American tax dollars and all they say is that it goes to the Red Shield Rothschild bankers for the war debt. Okay, well, what about this new war on terror? How big is that debt and who do we owe that money to?
Yeah, war reparations, for lack of a better term.
Right, so that lady that you were speaking to, she's an American politician, and something inside me makes me wonder, can I make her president just by explaining to her that if she's sold to the American people, that I will reallocate your tax dollars? I won't even, dude, I'll put it down 1%. I'll take whatever you pay in taxes, I'll reduce it by 1%, and I'll change the direction the money goes. Would Americans vote for that? That means that tomorrow morning, You have a fucking sore throat. You go to the clinic. You don't need whatever amount of dollars it is. You have a Medicare card, and like my Medicare card only covers. Is it gonna save your life? Okay, so I have a Medicare card, and I walk into the pharmacy, and I want to buy Tylenol. I pay cash. The doctor prescribes me some antibiotics. I walk into the pharmacy. I have my Medicare card. I pay cash because the Medicare card is not used for that. The Medicare card is used for, that X-ray machine that costs millions of dollars. Yeah, I'm allowed to use that because my tax dollars paid for it. Right, so that's how that works. So the Medicare card, the doctor that gets a yearly salary. I have my Medicare card. I walk into the hospital. I don't have to pay for the doctor's salary. Doctor's got me covered because I paid into my taxes because he's paid by the government. So yeah, there's pieces of it like the pay to play, right? There's long waiting lists, but like, what do we need? We just need more hospitals. We need more hospitals and more doctors to suffice the amount of people we have in our country because we opened up our borders to 97% of the world. Yeah. And a lot of people showed up. Did you guys see the commercial that pissed off Trump? Like the reason why those trade talks?
No, I did not. And I think you might have glitched.
Because I saw the video. I saw the actual commercial.
No.
Yeah, that happens. So there's a commercial that Premier Rob Ford, he's the guy that runs the province of Ontario. Okay, so he's not our prime minister. I live in a little province and I got a premier, and then there's another province and that's got a premier, and the other provinces, they got a premier. Okay, so we all got premiers. And from time to time, all of the premiers, they get together at a table, and the prime minister, so they all talk, they all come to some sort of conclusion, and then the prime minister says, okay, this is what we're doing. I can tell the nation this is what we're doing. All right, I'm going to go tell it. No takebacks. Now's the time, because when I go out there in front of the microphone, we can't change anything. I'm going to go tell the nation this is what we're doing. So that's how that works. So Rob Ford decided that he was going to make an attack ad against the United States of America. And he used Ronald Reagan to do it.
No shit.
Yep. So Ronald Reagan had this huge speech about how tariffs and things like that didn't work. And that in the long run, it only negatively impacted the American consumer. So Rob Ford took a bunch of like slideshows of like factory workers and fishermen and so on and so forth, and dubbed Ronald Reagan's speech on top of it, and paid a shit ton of money to make it being seen at the World Series. Because you see, Toronto is in Ontario, which is the province that Rob Ford is the premier of. So he put that. So all the Americans that were tuning into the World Series, which has got to be a number similar to what we see with fucking the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Saw this ad. Oh, Trump got 17,000 layers of upset because a past president was explaining that the actions of the current president was no bueno. Not for anybody, not for us, not for the States, not for Mexico, for nobody in the world. It only drives prices higher and higher and higher for things. Well, this is the thing. This is the thing that's been happening since after COVID, that Canada's been doing to you guys, left, right, and center. This is the problem the United States has. Now, this is the problem that Donald Trump has. It has nothing to do with the American people. Donald Trump believes he's the center of the universe when it comes to matters and affairs of the West.
Yeah.
But the only reason why the rest of the world equates the West with the United States is because a good portion of the rest of the world does some sort of economic business with the United States.
Yeah.
Except last year, if I'm not mistaken, Canada, I never said we weren't assholes, okay? We went in and we stole something like 7 out of 10 of the largest American economic partners. So they don't do business with you guys no more. They do business with us. And we are slowly being called the West. And it's not the Americans anymore. Remember that Northwest Passage I kept going on about?
Yeah.
That's our silver bullet. That's what we have to offer to these other nations that the Americans don't. We can cut your shipping time by 3 days, save you billions of dollars. Oh, and by the way, I'm Canada. I'm not the United States. There are no tariffs here. Oh, no, but Trump's got tariffs on your country. Don't worry, we'll handle the American tariffs, but I'm not passing the buck on to you because I'm not the
That's
United
my
States.
problem, not yours.
That's right. I'm not the United States, so I have no tariffs, no embargoes, no nothing with you. So we're good. And how does it affect the United States? Very quietly, because we really shouldn't brag about it too much. But like, if he doesn't get his ducks in a row, he's not going to be able to build tanks. And he's not going to be able to build fighter aircrafts. All of that's made out of Canadian steel. It's our natural resource that we send to the Americans that build the weapon of war. That's why we don't need a military, because we own yours. Not like the Israelis, because they never gave you shit. We gave you guys the actual minerals and all of that stuff to make that, all the way down to the washers and dryers during the first trade war, during the first presidency.
Yeah.
That's what Trudeau. See, I didn't like Trudeau, but I forget anything any people know about Trudeau. Before he was a teacher and before he was a politician, he was a boxer. So the man understands fight IQ. So when Trump threw his first temper tantrum, Trudeau is like, all right, no more steel and aluminum for you then. That's why you always hear the tariffs go down on steel and aluminum, because if the tariffs stay the exact same on steel and aluminum, the military-industrial complex is going to have to purchase the steel and aluminum at tariff and inflated prices. And then well, who foots that bill? The White House. The White House has
and the American people by proxy.
Yes. So how does Trump save face? By keeping the steel tariffs down. Well, what happens if we just say, no, you're not going to get any more. We're not going to ship to you anymore, because we could ship to China direct, and we could ship to Taiwan and all these other places. And we have very secretive, quiet deals with China. Kind of bothers me. Not a big fan of the idea. Stephen Harper put it into effect. We talked about it a long time ago when I broke down how the NAFTA and GATT agreement worked, and Canada and the United States would take 6 months. Like if you disagree, it doesn't matter if I agree or disagree with you. In 6 months, the agreement is dissolved. If I disagree, it doesn't matter if you disagree or agree. In 6 months, it's dissolved. But Canada signed this thing with China, and it locked us in to a 30-year trade deal. And in order to break the trade deal, both sides had to agree, and you needed a 5-year window of examining. So in other words, and then it takes a year for a decision. So it's a trade deal for 30 years, but if you wanted to like argue it on year 28 or 29, it could take 6 years to decide if the trade deal is allowed to be broken or not. So very interesting stuff. We're not allowed to break it with them, and they're not allowed to break it with us, even if we disagree. That's why when COVID happened and everybody in Canada was like, boycott China, and I was like, yeah, we can't do that.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever happened to those truckers, man? I mean,
the Supreme Court's examining it. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court now.
Because I know that Trudeau froze their accounts and shit, and and took the gas from them.
Took everything.
Like it was there any positive in there?
See, I kept telling my country to calm down because they weren't paying attention. They hadn't figured out what was going on. Right when COVID started, Trudeau went before the whole nation and asked all the ministers to do their part. So each province would do its part, because he didn't want to call a state of national emergency. And he didn't have to, because at the time, each and every individual province had declared a state of provincial emergency. So because we were all in a state of provincial emergency, the state of national emergency was never required. So he never called for it. And they wanted him to use a bunch of policing powers on the truckers. So they wanted him to unilaterally get rid of all of the mandates. This was Trudeau's dilemma. One, he could not police the truckers unilaterally because he hadn't declared a state of national emergency. He couldn't unilaterally dismantle the mandates, the mask mandates, all that nonsense, because every individual province had declared a provincial state of emergency, which means your grievances had to be addressed to your provincial level, and that's the highest it could go. So what did Trudeau do? How did he fix it? I didn't say it was the right thing to do, and I didn't say I agreed with it, but I'll tell you what he did. For a period of time, a very, very small period of time, he declared a state of national emergency. You know why he declared a state of national emergency? Because without declaring the state of national emergency, he couldn't lift the state of national emergency. So he had to declare it, and then he had to move the truckers along with the policing powers, and then he had to lift the state of national emergency. This gave provincial political pundits, the people that are just below him, the wiggle room that they needed. Because when he lifted the national emergency, they all started lifting the mask mandates. So it started to look like Justin Trudeau had lifted, but it's just not how the political landscape worked for that situation. And that is tied up in ridiculous amounts of court proceedings for exactly what you said. The whole freezing of bank accounts and assets and so on and so forth. It's just what the truckers did is they showed us exactly what it's going to look like when it goes down. You won't have access to your money. You won't be able to go buy fuel. You won't. None of that. It's all going to hell in a handbag. And on top of that, there's this other thing that's happening inside of Canada, and I don't even know how I'm supposed to address it without appearing on something that I'm not. So I'm just going to go right out and say it. In Canada, we have this Indigenous reconciliations thing. You must have come across it there. Every child matters, and so on and so forth. You wear the orange shirt at school for Native American Recognition Day and all of that stuff. Okay. The problem is my people landed on here, and at some point there was a war, and we won that war. It is what it is, man. But now,
that's why you're there.
But now I'm supposed to feel bad about the war that was won. And now I have to, so like how you guys have like the whole like reparations for African Americans. Well, the natives here have been doing land grabs. Now out west, a native group drew a green fucking perimeter around a section of a city. And they said that's a unceded native land, and we want it back. Went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court fucking gave it to them. So right now, the Supreme Court.
That whole area is technically an oversized Indian reservation.
Well, it's a Canadian. It's Canada's Gaza. It's no longer Canadian Crown land. It's just a piece of land that belongs to somebody. The Canadian government has no jurisdiction inside that land anymore.
That's again kind of like Native American Indian reservations out here.
No, same thing here. They have their own laws, their own policing, their own chiefs, their own RCMP, state police. You have no business on that land. That's a country inside of a country.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
That's the Vatican City. That's the City of London. That's Washington, D.C. These are countries inside of countries. And it's no different. Like, it's fucked. So it's like, what's going to happen to all these people that live in those cities when the natives come around and be like, yo, get out?
Yep, it's mine now.
It's going to be the Middle East all over again. somebody showing up to someone's house, throwing them out, saying, "This is my house now. Leave because someone's coming here to murder you." It's going to happen. And why is it going to happen? Because the only way that the colonizers are going to side with Israel is if we have our own little problem. We have a common thread. They colonized up there. We colonized here. They're getting rid of the people that they don't want near their colonies. And apparently we're going to have to do the same.
Yeah, and it'll probably happen within the United States as well.
Just around the corner, because it's just going to become precedent. Your laws and our laws are very similar, although they're different. They both operate with the Universal Commercial Code. Both countries deal with maritime admiralty law, not law of the land. And here's that free man nonsense. Go ahead, try it. You're still going to get in cuffs, and you're still going into a prison cell, and you don't have to submit or agree to their authority, but like they're still going to throw you in a fucking cage. Most people don't understand that if you don't agree and submit to the authority, then that means you actually have to physically destroy it. That means you can't let the police officer arrest you. You can't. You can't. If that's what you believe, then like there's letters.
Maybe outside of the jurisdiction.
Yeah, there's a letter floating the internet right now where it's a retired RCMP officer like outright stating like they're not a policing force for the country. They're an occupying army, and it's all being done under the guise of social policing, but that like we are currently alive and living inside of a war zone. That the war between the Native Americans and the white man never ended.
It just shifted dynamics.
Yes, and they're bringing the battlefield, for lack of a better explanation, back to life. Yep, where people are going to start getting hurt over it.
Yeah, and see, this is something that most people aren't even hearing about. Okay, even on independent medias, you're not hearing about this. This is a TWRN exclusive, for lack of a better term.
It's the best.
This is the first the world's probably really hearing about this.
Yeah, because if Trump wants to do business with the Canadian government, and the Native Americans are like, yeah, no, we don't. That's not the government, bud. Like you have to talk to us. We have to start talking treaties again.
Yeah.
Like so, when the Americans want to do something to the Canadians, all the Canadians have to do is go, give it back to the natives. Let the Americans deal with the natives. We'll just sit here in peace. We ain't going to hurt the natives.
Yeah.
It's a lot of razor edge sword, fucking 10,000 different directions.
It is.
I hate to make this one that much short, but I got to go do my daughter's hair and get her ready for the gym.
Yeah, I got to get going too. Reuben, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to add before we go?
Whatever's going on over there in Venezuela, I hope they have a lot of brown pants in the pens.
Yeah, I had to do something.
Because whatever it is going to go down, they need plenty of brown pants and the pens.
Yeah. With the bombardment
and
that's
they might need a lot of also they need to prepare for a local spade and neutering of
don't do it.
Neocons, rhinos, progressives, and liberals.
Stop doing that. I'm gonna call you out
for free. We'll hand
when I talk
over
about this privately. Don't be doing that.
And for free, we'll hand over Marxist. Oh yeah, for free, we'll also throw in Marxist, fascist, communist, and Dylan Mulvaney.
Just for that, you're grounded, and you gotta stick your testicles in a toaster. Yeah.
Well, for me to do that, I gotta wear the Mr. Eagles mask.
Got it right here. Anyway, I do got to get going, brother. I got some things I got to do. I gotta review the file from last night. Just finished editing Tin Man TV. It's been exported. I got to go review that. I'm sure it came out okay. And then we will be airing that live later today, hopefully. Until next time, on behalf of Connor, Revan, thank you. And thank you, everyone who tuned in. Curse Zero, in particular. Always glad to have you on, buddy. Until next time, this is the Tin Man with the Worldwide Resistance Network. This has been the Roundtable, and you are the Resistance.
And remember, these nuts matter.